Shalom. My name is Tirza Lewis. I'm with the Echad Israeli Beit Midrash, and we have a women's ministry called Talmidah, where we have videos and different written materials for women, and looking into the Torah and different aspects of halakha, and in different aspects of our lives as Hebrew women. And in today's video, we will be looking at Proverbs 31. In particular, we will be looking at a couple of verses that deal with what the virtuous woman looks like, what's her attire, and that she has a wardrobe of strength and splendor. So let's begin. Okay. We're going to be starting with the journey. And if there is a path and a destination for us as women of the Most High, clearly the destination is the Echad, this strong woman of valor, as is spoken of in Proverbs 31. It would be an honor to attain this level of splendor and of beauty as being a woman of the Most High. And in this short lesson, we're going to look at two verses in particular in this section of the scriptures. The first verse is Proverbs 31, verse 17, which says, "She girdeth her loins with strength and strengtheneth her arms." The second verse is Proverbs 31, verse 25, which says, "Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come." So I really want for us, we got to just think about these two verses. The whole concept of girding her loins with strength and strengthening her arms, the whole concept of strength and honor as her clothing, what she looks like, who she is, and the fact that she rejoices in the time to come. We can see here that the Echad is a reflection of the Most High. Psalm 93, verse 1 says, "Yahweh reigneth. He is clothed with majesty. Yahweh is clothed with strength, wherewith he has girded himself. The world also established that it cannot be moved." And we can see here that Yahweh is clothed with majesty. We can see that the Most High is clothed with strength, and that he girdeth himself with these things. And so we can see that this Echad, we can see that this woman of valor, that she girdeth her loins, and that she strengtheneth her arms, and that strength and honor are her clothing. Majesty is her clothing, and that she is able to rejoice at the time to come. Let's talk about what it means to gird your loins with strength. Girding your loins has this connotation of preparation. In the scriptures, it's used as preparation for a journey or preparation for a battle. It's arming yourself. It's making sure that you're going to endure any darts or any arrows or any spears or any surprise attacks. Girding your loins, and you think about the loins, it's the middle part of your body. It's where all your organs are. Your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your intestines, all these things are in your loins. So it's arming yourself so that you can withstand anything that can and may be on attack. The Echad, she girds her loins with strength. So she girds her loins with this strength. So this is a deliberate defensive action. When someone puts armor up, when they have armor on, it's not to go on the attack, but it's so that if there is any attack upon her or upon the person who is girded, that they won't succumb to any injury. So we were saying that girding your loins is surrounding, is fortifying your organs. It's a defensive action. It's protection against an attack. Inherent to the Hebraic, when we're looking at that, we're looking at girding, we're talking about the defense, but now we're going to start talking about the offense, strengthening your arms. And when we look at the Hebrew word arm, zeroah, there's an offensive strength that's associated with it. And we can see this in a few places within the Torah and in the Tanakh. Deuteronomy 26 verse 8 says, "And Yahweh brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness and with signs and with wonders." Psalm chapter 98 verse 1 says, "Oh, sing unto Yahweh a new song, for he hath done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm hath gotten him the victory." And finally, we look at Isaiah 53 verse 1. It says, "Who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of Yahweh, the Zeroah Yahweh, revealed?" So this Zeroah Yahweh, this arm of Yahweh, is Yeshua, of course. The arm is what gets the victory. So you're girding your loins with strength. So you have your protection up, your defense up, and you're strengthening your arms. So as you can hear, you keep hearing this word strength, this word strong, where your offense is strong and your defense is strong. And if you have these two components, if you have a strong offense and you have a strong defense, the result is victory. Okay. She is trained in understanding the will of Yahweh. And that Ruach is the strength. That's the driving force that's motivating her and driving her forward and winning her every victory that comes on her path. So when we're looking at this wardrobe of strength and of splendor and of majesty, when we're looking at this Eshet Hayil, her outer appearance is not a facade. Some people can dress the part, and you're really quick to find out when someone is dressing the part, because when it actually comes time to act, they aren't able to act because they don't have the substance behind the garments that they're wearing. So when we're talking about the Eshet Hayil, her garments is an extension of what's internal. Okay. So if that Ruach is in her heart, if that spirit, that Holy Spirit is inside of her, then it comes out of her. And so this is what people can see on the outside. They see the strength and they see the splendor. It's proceeding out of her, but it's not something that's on the outside that's coming in. It's something that's on the inside of her that's coming out. When I think about garments, so I think about clothing, sometimes I think about a uniform, and a uniform is something, one of the reasons that we have uniforms is because sometimes they have a particular purpose attached to them. For example, if you are a construction worker, you'll have work boots on that will protect your feet from anything that might fall on you. You might have fire retardant clothing in case if you're an electrician, such as my husband, in case there's a spark or something like that. If you're a runner, you're going to have clothes on you that that don't have too much drag. If you are playing a sport, you'll have a helmet maybe. If you're going on a hike, you'll have your body will be covered in case there's any sorts of dangers along the way. You'll have your hiking boots, you'll have your gear on that will help you in case you come into a rough patch. And if you're in a battle, of course, you're going to have your armor on and you're going to have a uniform on that will camouflage you, that will protect your body so that you're able to withstand. But I also think about the priests and how the priests had garments that were dual purpose. Of course, their garments had representative of the people. They were representative of the people, but they were also representative of the Most High towards the people. So when I say they was representative of the people before the Most High, I'm talking about the jewels that they had that represented the tribes of Israel, and I'm talking about just that they were a representation of the people to the Most High, but they was also a representation of the Most High to the people. And so when we look at, we're going to look at Proverbs 31 verse 22, which says she makes coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. So, this is kind of going into further detail about how about her garments, but this description can directly be tied to the garments that were made for the priests. And the garments that was made for the priests was for glory and for beauty. So we're still talking about this splendor. We're still talking about this majesty that comes with the garments. And so the ephod that was made for the high priest, it says that they shall take gold and blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. And we can see that this Echad, she's clothed in fine linen and purple. So linen and purple are included in the priest garments, and all through the Tanakh we could see how this is also incorporated in the clothing that royalty would wear. It also says in the verses that we're looking at that she rejoices in the time to come. The New American Standard says strength and dignity are her clothing, and she smiles at the future. A lot of times people have anxiety because they don't have a certainty about something, or they feel like they want to control something and they're not able to control it. And so that makes them feel anxious because they don't know what the results are going to be. If you know for certain that you're going to be victorious, if you know for certain that things are going to work out in your favor, you're not going to have that anxiety about what's going to happen in the future. And so the idea of rejoicing or smiling or laughing at the future is a result of the certainty that this woman has. If she's strengthened her loins, if she's strengthened her arms, if that ruach is inside of her, then she's not going to worry about any adversity that might happen or anything that might come in her path. Because you see the peace that we who are believers in Yeshua have, our peace isn't based upon circumstances. Our peace is based upon the sovereignty of the Most High. It's based upon the strength that the Most High has, and it's based upon that ruach that's inside of us, that is leading us, that is guiding us, that's protecting us, and that when an adversity comes, we're able to look towards the Most High instead of looking towards our adversity. Philippians 4 verses 6 through 7 says, "Do not worry at all, but in every matter by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to Elohim. And the peace of Elohim, which surpasses all understanding, shall guard your hearts and your minds through Messiah Yeshua." That is Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 through 7. And if you don't have this verse memorized, I have this verse memorized. And so whenever adversity comes, I really suggest you memorize this, because when adversity comes, if you feel a little shaken, remember this verse to bring it before the Most High. It talks about guarding your hearts and your minds. And we're talking about the girding up, right? We're talking about the shoring up, right? We're talking about the whole preparation that comes, and the fact that this is something that comes from the inside out, that this strength, it's not strength that we have gotten for ourselves, but it's strength that comes directly from the Most High. And so this is why it surpasses our understanding. It surpasses the carnal thought processes about things. It surpasses that fear complex that we might have because we don't have control, or we don't have the ability to enact our will upon a situation or a circumstance. And this could be any type of situation, circumstance. It could be health. It could be, financial. It could be with your children. It could be with whatever circumstances that come upon your path. And our earthly understanding does not have a bearing upon our Elohim. Our Elohim is able to do any and everything. And so we're able to have confidence and strength in him. And because of that, we are able to rejoice. We're able to smile, and we're able to laugh at the future. The question is, are we as women walking in strength? Are we girded? Are our arms ready for war? Are we dressed for the battle? The carnal perspective would have us to believe that we can become this Ishek Hayo. We can get to the end of this journey, quote unquote. We can make it through the journey, I should say, in and of our own ability. But the Ishek Hayo, which I made reference to, her strength is in Yahweh. Her strength, her girding, her shielding, her protection, her ability, her endurance is through the Most High. I was speaking with my children about running, and I'm trying to get in shape myself, and I'm trying to get my children encouraged in our boot camp that we have started as part of school. And I'm telling them, when we're running, let's focus on our breath. Let's focus on our breathing first, And I told them, I don't care about how hard you run. I want you to focus on breathing, because if we can breathe, if we can breathe in and we can breathe out, our endurance will increase. And so we focus on making sure that we're getting enough oxygen in, we will be able to run harder and faster and longer. Because the Ishek Hayo recognizes that breath, that Ruach, it's not her breath, but it's the breath of the Most High given to her. She is going to make it to the end. She's going to endure any and every obstacle that comes in her path, and she's going to be able to make it to the end. Psalm 28 verse 7 says, Yahweh is my shield and my strength. My heart trusted in him, and I am helped. Therefore, my heart greatly rejoices, and with my song will I praise him. When he's our strength, the result is going to be peace that surpasses all understanding, all mental fortitude, all mental capacities, all mental abilities, all carnal abilities. When Yah is our strength, the result is going to be victory. We can look at the iconic clothing now. I mean, this is pretty much my children's lessons. This is something that Ephesians 6 verses 10 through 17, when we talk about the full armor of Yahweh, this is something that is elemental to our just our studies and looking at the scriptures. This is a fundamental concept that is given to us in the scriptures. And it says, finally, be strong in Yahweh and in the strength of his might. I want to speak a little bit about the strength of Yahweh and the fact that the Most High is all powerful. There is no end to the Most High. There is no boundaries to him. Every single concept that we have, every single concept since conception that we have is what he has created. So if he's the creator of all things, including time, including space, including us, right? Then that means that he is more powerful than us. He is outside of us. He's outside of time, and he's outside of space, and he's most holy. And part of his strength, or his Gevurah, is his ability to withhold his might to deal with us, and to look upon us, and to think upon us, right? So we're talking about being strong in Yahweh and in the strength of his might. We aren't talking about being strong in our strength, right? We're not talking about being strong in this human might, but we're talking about being strong in his might. And so when we're strong in his might, that strength allows us to hold back ourselves. It allows us to hold back our carnal desires and what we want, and how we feel about this or how we feel about that. And it helps us, and we're able to walk in the spirit more than we're able to walk in the flesh. So when we're talking about putting on the whole armor of Elohim, it says, put on the whole armor of Elohim, that ye may be able to stand the wiles of the devil, the wiles of the enemy. And it says here, for our wrestling is not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, against the powers, against the world rulers of this darkness, against the spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. So when you're thinking about things on a carnal perspective, a lot of times you're not really looking at it from the big picture, right? You're looking at these little obstacles and you're getting scared and concerned about them. But when you're able to look at them from a heavenly perspective, when you're able to look at them from the perspective that Yahweh sees them, then you're able to see that there's going to be victory in the end, and you're able to take comfort in that, and you're able to smile at the future. So you're girding yourself up, but it's not like a physical girding. It's not like I'm protecting my liver and my kidneys physically. It's not like I'm lifting weights and strengthening my arms. But what I'm doing is I'm strengthening myself spiritually. I'm growing closer to the Most High. I'm spending time in prayer. I'm spending time in the Word. I'm spending time with people who are going to build me up in the Word. I'm spending time in fellowship, and iron sharpening iron. So we're getting into the Word, and I'm telling somebody my thoughts on the Word, and they're like, oh, well, have you considered this? And they're telling me their thoughts on it. And so we're building, right? But we're building in the spirit. And so we're walking in the spirit. It says here, wherefore take up the whole armor of Elohim, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having girded your loins. Remember, we're talking about the girding of the loins with truth, and having put on the breastplate of righteousness. So this is protection, right? And having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Withal taking up the shield of faith, wherewith you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the evil one. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Elohim. And we know that, so we talked about all of the different girding and all the different protections. And then we're talking about taking up the sword, which would be using your arm and using your hand. So I want for us as women, and we're coming to the end of this. Again, I said this was going to be a very short lesson, not very long, not very in depth, but just looking at things and kind of giving us something to think about, something to carry with us, and allow the Ruach to build upon this little foundation that is being set up here. Weakness is associated with a lack of maturity. And I really want us to really understand this whole concept that weakness is a result of a lack of maturity. The fruits of strength. So I'm going to talk about the fruits of strength. Well, we'll talk about the fruits of a lack of maturity, maybe. We could do that. The fruits of a lack of maturity will be that if there's an adversity on my path, it can shake my faith in the Most High. So I can get easily distracted, right, by things that aren't forever. Fruits of weakness or lack of maturity will be that I'm able to come out of my spiritual walk and enter into my carnal walk that I should have put away. A lack of maturity is an inability to forgive, or haughtiness, or high-mindedness, or pride, right? Being tossed to and fro. Anytime there's a new doctrine, oh, I believe in this now, or oh, I believe in that now. An inability, I should say, to have tolerance for others and love, right? And compassion. The scripture says that love will cover a multitude of sins. Love, right? When we're looking at the fruits of strength, we could see that this is living out the fruits of the Spirit. Galatians 5:22, this is having self-control and temperance, long-suffering and patience, being forgiving, and having humility that if I'm wrong about something, I will say that I am, and I will ask for forgiveness, right? So I will ask for someone to forgive me, but I will also forgive others. It's an unwillingness to compromise. When there is a decision between righteousness and unrighteousness, no matter what the consequence is, even to my own hurt, I will walk the path of righteousness and consistency. It don't matter if no one else is with me, right? If I'm all by myself, I will be consistent. If I started out with 10 people walking with me and we get down and there's no one else left, I'm still going to keep going. I'm still going to keep progressing and moving forward. Not easily being swayed by every wind of doctrine, having the elementary principles of the word locked down inside of you. An ability to lay down my own liberties for the sake of others. If I could see that, even though I'm at liberty to do something, but I can see how it's hurting my sister, I'm able to say, okay, I'm able to lay that liberty aside for her sake. And being able to stand in the day of adversity. That's what this is all about. No one is preparing themselves so that in a day of adversity, they will fall. The reason that we prepare ourselves, right, is so that in the day of adversity, we will be able to stand. So this was a snippet of Proverbs 31, just looking at the Echad, and looking at how we as women of the Most High should conduct ourselves, how we should, truly live our lives in strength, and in beauty, in majesty, in splendor. The word so when we're looking at Proverbs 31, verse 25, where it says strength and honor are her clothing, that word for honor is hadar, which means glory, majesty, and splendor. And so when we are living our lives, and when we're walking, and when we're out here, when we're dealing with our children, and when we're out in the street and we're talking to people, and when someone it makes me upset about something, how do I react? How does what I do reflect the Most High? Does it reflect the Most High? You know, am I coming from a place of strength, or am I coming from a place of weakness? Am I coming from a place of Hadar, right? Of glory and majesty and splendor, or I'm coming from a place of ugliness and rudeness? When people see me, do they see gloriousness? I think about that David Crowder song. You make everything glorious, and I am yours. What does that make me? So I think about gloriousness. I think about the fact that I am the Most High's. I am Yahweh's. And because I'm his representative, you see, because we talked about the priests represented the Most High to the people. So I'm representing the Most High to my children, to my husband, to my friends, to my enemies, to the people that are just randomly running to in the street. And so if I'm truly clothed with strength, if I'm truly clothed with splendor and majesty, these things are going to emanate from me. And it's not going to be hard. It's not going to be a burden or a problem. When someone rubs me the wrong way, or when I'm very frustrated with a juncture of being a mother or parenting or being a wife, I will allow that spirit inside of me and that strength that comes from within me, right, to clothe me, and not my carnality, not the base desire, not the base reaction that comes naturally from me, but that spirit that's within me. And so, as being a Proverb 31 and trying to be on this journey to be the Echad, there is a preparation that is needed. There is a strengthening that is needed. See, strengthening, there is a process of girding your loins, of girding your midsection, of girding your organs. And there's a process of strengthening your arms. And there's a process of learning how to endure and learning how to smile at the future, no matter what the situation and the circumstances look like. Because we know that the Most High is on our side. And we know that the end is only going to be victory. So, if you have anything to add to this discussion, there is a lot that could be added. Please, put a comment in the comments section. You can send me an email, and we could midrash this further. Yah bless. Shalom.
You were spitting fire. You said we know.